At 2:17 a.m., a man dialed 911. He said his wife wasn't breathing. His voice was steady, clear, controlled. Too controlled. And that calm voice would later become the most disturbing piece of evidence in the entire case. The house was quiet that night. No broken windows, no forced entry, no neighbors reporting screams. Just one emergency call and a husband asking for help. But sometimes, the most dangerous thing in a room isn't chaos, it's silence. Dispatcher, what's your emergency? Caller, my wife. She's unconscious. I think she's not breathing. No shouting. No frantic yelling her name. No sound of objects falling. Just measured breathing. Carefully chosen words. Almost rehearsed. In real emergencies, voices break. They crack. They tremble. They rise in pitch. But his stayed flat. When the dispatcher told him to check her pulse, there was a pause. Small, but noticeable. Then he said, "I can't find it." Same tone, same volume, no shift. The dispatcher instructed him to begin CPR. There was movement, but not urgency. No heavy breathing, no desperation, just rhythm, controlled rhythm. And in the background, something else was missing. Panic. Police arrived within minutes. He met them at the door. Calm, composed. Inside the bedroom, his wife lay motionless. No overturned furniture, no visible signs of struggle, nothing that suggested an intruder. Nothing, except the man who made the call. Neighbors later told investigators they had heard raised voices earlier that night. An argument. Not violent, but tense. Intention leaves traces, even when nothing else does. Detectives separated him for questioning. The flashing lights were gone now. Just a small room, a table, 2 chairs, and questions. He described dinner, a normal evening, a quiet night. When asked about the argument, he minimized it. Just stress, he said, nothing serious. His voice stayed steady, but his hands began to move, rubbing his palms together, clasping his fingers tightly. Investigators watch hands, because hands reveal what the voice tries to hide. Then came the timeline. He said he found her at 2:10 a.m., but phone data showed movement inside the house before that time. Small inconsistencies, tiny gaps. Not dramatic, but enough. The dispatcher from that night was later interviewed. She said something investigators couldn't ignore. It wasn't what he said, she explained. It was what he didn't say. He never screamed her name, never begged her to wake up, never said, "Please don't leave me." Just updates. Clinical, structured, detached. Audio analysts slowed the recording down. They isolated background noise. There was no sound of frantic chest compressions, no heavy breathing from effort. In real emergencies, audio becomes chaotic. This call was clean. Too clean. When the dispatcher told him help was on the way, most callers react with relief. Some cry, some panic harder. He simply said, "Okay." Not thankful, not desperate, just okay. Days later, detectives confronted him with more evidence. Financial strain, updated life insurance policies, recent beneficiary changes. For the first time, his breathing shifted. His eyes blinked rapidly, a swallow. Small cracks in the control. Behavioral experts explain something important. Guilt doesn't always look like fear. Sometimes it looks like control. Over-control. Measured speech, careful wording, emotion regulation that feels unnatural. And when that control slips, even slightly, trained investigators notice. They replayed the 911 call in the interrogation room. He listened to his own voice. Calm, steady, composed. Detectives asked him, "Why do you sound so calm?" He didn't answer immediately. Silence filled the room. And silence can be louder than words. In the first 10 seconds of the call, before he even spoke to dispatch, you can hear him inhale, deeply, like someone preparing to perform. That inhale wasn't calm. It was preparation. As forensic results came back, his version of events began to collapse. Digital footprints contradicted his timeline. Deleted searches were recovered. Arguments weren't as minor as he claimed. The calm husband narrative started to fracture. The 911 recording was played in court. Jurors listened carefully. Some later admitted that the tone of that call changed how they saw everything. Because tragedy has a sound. Shock has a sound. Desperation has a sound. And this didn't match. Eventually, investigators uncovered what really happened inside that quiet house, and that 2:17 a.m. phone call was no longer seen as a plea for help. It was seen as something else, a script, an attempt to shape the story before anyone else could. The call lasted only a few minutes, but those minutes were replayed hundreds of times, in interviews, in analysis rooms, in court. Every pause dissected, every breath examined. Was he calm because he was strong, or calm because he already knew it was over? Some believe shock can silence a person. Others believe guilt can steady a voice. The truth often hides in the smallest details: a pause, a breath, a tone. Because sometimes, the person calling for help isn't asking to be saved. They're making sure their story is heard first. And sometimes, the truth doesn't scream. It whispers, through a voice that sounds just a little too calm. If you were the dispatcher that night, would you have noticed it? Or would it have sounded perfectly normal? Listen again and decide for yourself.